I was working on a presentation until the ADHD got the better of me, / I was texted something about a headline about how the unemployment office of Kentucky has not read over 400,000 emails, according to the auditor. That's 400,000. Now remember, guys, he's just doing the best he can as he laid off entire industries and threw them into an unemployment system that wasn't even reading their emails. Okay, you can try to blame the computer systems and everything else as much as you want, but at the end of the day, if you're not even reading the emails, you cannot blame that on a failure of technology. That is a failure of the administration. Now, what I have here, though, is from the auditor's report, just the headlines of 25 failures of the Beshear administration. And I'm just going to read through them. I might add some ad lib in there. Keep in mind, I am but a coffee peddler, so I have no clue sometimes what some of these things mean as I talk about them, other than my general understanding of comprehension of reading about them. So I do encourage you to research them on your own. I'm just drawing your attention to them. First, the Finance and Administration Cabinet failed to implement adequate internal controls over financial reporting of fixed assets and capital leases. 2. The Finance and Administration Cabinet did not accurately compile the financial statements for the Unemployment Compensation Fund. Let's pause on this one. I do know something about the Unemployment Compensation Fund. Why? Because I pay for it. I'm an employer. I pay for it. It's a percentage. My payroll goes into it. That's how it works. So I know a little bit about it from that. And what I can tell you is there's levels that you need to be at depending on the financial and the total amount of money in the fund and everything else. And when they don't know the financial statements, they don't know how much money they need, how much money's in it, how much to tax me, which means they're just throwing darts at the board and taking a guess. What is also a problem is, remember that loan that he illegally pulled out? Well, he says he needed to do it because federal law mandates that our unemployment fund can't go into negative. Now, first off, we do have a way that our Constitution fixes that for him to call in a special session to then vote on the loan. However, putting that to the side, if you don't know how much you owe in unemployment, how do you know how much to pull out? I continue, though. The Office of Unemployment Insurance weak control environment led to management decisions that were in direct conflict with federal law. So he wants to pretend like he had to pull out a loan because of federal law, but yet here they are operating in conflict with federal law. Here's the thing. Beshear follows the laws that make the most sense to him controlling power. So if a law gives him the power to pull out a loan, he likes that federal law. But if a federal law means he can't do something he's not supposed to, like, I don't know, write tickets to people who go to church, he doesn't like that one. And so once again, we're seeing a pattern here. He decided to not follow federal law with his unemployment office when it didn't suit him. Number 4. The Office of Unemployment Insurance does not have adequate technical documentation in association with the Kentucky Electronic Workplace for Employment Service Systems. Here's the deal. Here's an excuse we hear all the time coming from the Beshear administration is that Bevin left it bad and they need a technological update for unemployment and everything else. You know what? That's all great. But I do have to ask a question. It has been a year. The biggest issue, the biggest takedown, even the people who support Beshear's COVID decisions cannot justify the way he has handled the unemployment fund. If that is your biggest weakness, why has it taken it a year for you to fix it? Get it done, get your act together, get your crap together and get it done. You can't blame Bevin anymore when it's been a year and you keep throwing people into this system. That is negligent. That is morally corrupt. That is a terrible individual to keep doing that, and yet he doesn't care, because once again, what started off this research was he didn't read 400,000 unemployment emails. They didn't even read them because they don't care, because it's a top-down leadership, and at the top, Beshear, he doesn't care about you. He cares about his own control and power because, you know what? You're just a subject in his eyes. But I continue onwards. The Office of Unemployment Insurance did not adhere to change control procedures established in the standard procedures for an employment insurance system modification enhancement process. Once again, they don't care. The Office of Employment Insurance failed to ensure appropriate payments were made to claimants. They actually had a graph about this. Basically, they don't care. they're just looking at it and saying, whatever, it's just people's lives. Why does math matter? The Office of Unemployment Insurance did not recognize accounts receivable for federal unemployment compensation funds on the closing package. Once again, they are financially unaware where they are, but yet they're telling us what we need to do as a state. If you don't know where you are financially, how do you know what you can or can't do? But I guess it doesn't matter, once again, when you're just throwing darts at the board. The Office of Unemployment Insurance paid unemployment benefits to full-time employees of the Commonwealth. So let me get this straight. Well, you all that aren't government workers get to be sitting at home unemployed, waiting on your payments, going hungry, living in your cars if they're not repossessed, getting your power cut out, your water cut out, your utilities taken out. While all those things are going on, they didn't have an issue paying to their own employees of the Commonwealth that work for the state unemployment benefits. They had no problem getting those out to full-time Commonwealth employees, but they had a problem getting them to you because, well, quite frankly, you're not a part of the government, so why do they care about you? Continuing on. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat, but The Office of Unemployment Insurance failed to ensure the accuracy of its closing package. Once again, these are all from the auditor, okay, the state auditor. It's not me. It's not. And if you go and you look at his report, he explains all these, has pages and pages and pages about it and evidence and shows you what the fixes should be and everything else. But this is I'm just giving you the headlines here. All right. The Office of Employment Insurance cannot provide a reasonable or reliable estimate of the remaining fiscal year 2020 claims. Let me rephrase that for you. They don't know how much money they owe because they're failures. The Commonwealth Office of Technology did not maintain sufficient logical security controls for the Lynx servers. The Commonwealth Office of Technology does not comply with the Risk Assessment Enterprise Policy. The Commonwealth Office of Technology does not have a comprehensive listing of machines. So that means people can just walk out with them. The Department of Revenue does not comply with certain enterprise policies related to system security. Once again, a whole lot of IT issues out there. Maybe it's not a Bevan issue. Maybe it's a you suck at your job Beshear issue, but that's just me because, it's only been a year. The Finance Administration Cabinet does not comply with certain enterprise policies related to system security. The Finance Administration Cabinet does not comply with enterprise policies and standards to protect confidential and sensitive information. The Finance Administration Cabinet did not maintain adequate internal controls over the calculation of compensated absences. That's right, they're just missing days. They don't care. It's only our money, not theirs. Why do they care? The Kentucky Department of Agriculture failed to accurately report non-cash expenditures for the food distribution cluster on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. The Kentucky Department of Education did not close out grants on the schedule of the expenditures of federal awards. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet did not verify the accuracy of salt on hand in their inventory system when inventory counts occurred. So basically, during the winter, the one thing that the Transportation Cabinet should really be worrying about, control the roads. They have no idea what's going on there. They don't even know how much salt they have. Once again, guys, these are our tax dollars, right? So they order things, they buy things with our tax dollars. If they don't know what's going on and how much they're spending, how do they know how to spend your tax dollars? Okay? That's why these controls are so incredibly important. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet did not accurately submit the annual financial report to the Finance Administration Cabinet. What that means is that, well, quite frankly, they're just running around like it's Wild Western out there, just spending your money like crazy. The Office of Unemployment Insurance does not comply with certain federal and state enterprise policies related to system security. Once again, IT issue. The Office of Unemployment Insurance did not adhere to the reporting requirements of the Personal Information Security and Breach Investigation Procedures and Practices Act. They're letting your information hang out there willy-nilly. The Office of Employment Insurance did not ensure the Kentucky Electronic Workplace for Unemployment System Services was properly secured. Once again, why did we spend all this money on this firm to come in? They're not even answering emails and they can't even secure their own technology. The Office of Unemployment Insurance did not fully and appropriately separate CARES Act expenditures from non-CARES Act expenditures on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. Now, why is that so important? Well, remember that he had to pull out a loan to help pay for unemployment. If he's not tracking what that money's being spent on properly, his entire defense falls apart of why he needed to pull that loan out, which is something worth looking into. And trust me, we will. Basically, what I get from these 25 points is There's a lot of issues in unemployment office. Next month we'll be coming up on 1 year since we have been in lockdowns and closures and them keeping us closed and everything else. They still don't have their crap together. I'm sorry. They still don't have it together. They have no problem putting aside $500,000 to tear down a statue, put a statue in. They have no problem worrying about renaming things. They have no problem dropping bills out on the House floor. The legislators don't. They have nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, we have an unemployment system that nobody has bothered to care about for the last year. Nobody's bothered to even care about it. And you know what? Bevin did give him something. Bevin gave him the ability to readjust their employees. So it used to be like you couldn't move staff from this or to that if they were in one department to another department. But now you could, especially in emergency situations, but they're not responding that way. I guess it's an emergency situation when we have a unfortunate death, but an 85-year-old woman passing away, probably earlier than she necessarily needed to. But that is an emergency situation. I can understand why, especially if it's your grandma. I would care an awful lot too. I've had family members of mine die due to COVID. So I understand why you feel that way. I myself feel that way, right? That's incredibly emergency. But apparently, though, it's an emergency over COVID, but the unemployment issue, that's not an emergency. In fact, has he wrote one executive order to try to solve the unemployment issue? You know, I could be wrong. I haven't checked. I haven't done a full search, so I could be absolutely wrong, but I can tell you this much. I don't think he has. And if he has, it certainly isn't working.